State of Wisconsin,
Milwaukee County.
County Court.
Misdemeanor Division.
In the matter of the legal inquiry into the mental condition of John Kischline,
Eric Schneider,
Willem Dafoe.
John Schneider.
Flora Coker.
Arleen Kalenich, alleged to be mentally ill.
You are hereby informed of the following facts and legal requirements.
1. The basis for your present detention is an application for judicial inquiry into your mental condition executed by the following persons: your mother, your father, your wife.
2. Counsel has been appointed to represent you in these proceedings. You have the right to retain counsel of your own choice at your own expense.
3. You have a right to a jury trial if you so desire, and submit a request either by yourself or your attorney.
4. The court or jury, if you so demand, will be required to make a finding that you are
Mentally ill beyond a reasonable doubt,
and you are either
dangerous to yourself or others beyond a reasonable doubt,
and or
unable to make a reasonable decision with respect to hospitalization,
in order to justify any commitment to a mental hospital.
5. The names of the examining physicians appointed by the court to examine you and who will testify as to their findings are as follows: Dr. Who and Dr. Never Heard of.
6. The foregoing parties propose to testify that they have observed you in the recent past and have information tending to show the existence of mental illness on your part. Your attorney will be allowed to cross-examine them if he so desires.
I am not allowed to love you.
I am not allowed to have a good job. I am not allowed to have your respect.
I am not allowed to have your child.
I am not allowed to make any difference.
My death doesn't matter.
An individual adjudged mentally ill in Wisconsin faces restrictions on making contracts, limitations on the right to sue, restrictions on licenses required to engage in certain professions. Persons found mentally ill are, like felons, unable to vote. The mentally ill are also prohibited from driving a car, serving on juries, and participating in a marriage contract. In some respects, such as the limitation on holding a driver's license, the deprivations which follow civil commitment are more serious than the deprivations which accompany a criminal conviction. Just as serious are the difficulties that the committed individual will face in attempting to adjust to life outside the institution following release. A former mental patient will encounter serious obstacles in attempting to find a job, sign a lease, or buy a house. In the job market, it is better to be an ex-felon than an ex-patient. Perhaps the most serious possible effect of a decision to commit an individual lies in the statistics which indicate that an individual committed to a mental institution has a much greater chance of dying than if he were left at large.
I am the Honorable Irish Milwaukee Judge Branch X. This hearing is called in the matter of a legal inquiry into the mental condition of William J. Dafoe, who is mentally ill. Who is counsel for Milwaukee County?
I am.
And I hereby appoint you attorney for the alleged incompetent.
Attorney for the alleged incompetent present.
And I hereby appoint you court-appointed psychiatrists.
The following, as well as all other court scenes we will show, are taken verbatim, except for the names, from Milwaukee County Court records of final hearings. This hearing was held on April 30th, 1973.
This is in the matter of a legal inquiry into the mental condition of William J. Dafoe. The purpose of this hearing is to determine his mental condition and his need for hospitalization or treatment. Counsel for county.
I call Dr. Who to the stand. Doctor, your name, address, and occupation.
Bleep, bleep, who, bleep, 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 North Bleep.
When and where did you examine this patient?
I examined William Dafoe at Milwaukee County Mental Health Center, South Division, on April 12, 1973.
As a result of this examination, did you come to an opinion beyond a reasonable doubt as to what the diagnosis is?
Yes, William Dafoe is mentally ill. He is suffering from schizophrenia.
Do you believe beyond a reasonable doubt that this patient has insight into his need to be treated?
No, I do not. He has no insight.
Where would you recommend that treatment be continued?
I believe it requires inpatient psychiatric care.
With no alternatives being present?
No other alternative.
Attorney for the patient, your witness.
No questions.
I call Dr. Never Heard Of. Your name, address, and occupation?
Never heard of, etc. Psychiatry.
When and where did you examine this patient?
April 27th, 1973, South Division.
Did you reach a diagnosis beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, I feel William Dafoe is suffering from schizophrenia, chronic paranoid type.
Do you believe beyond a reasonable doubt that this patient has insight into his need to be treated?
No, I do not feel he has any insight into his need for treatment.
Do you agree with your colleague that treatment be continued at this institution?
Yes.
And that no other place?
No other place.
Your witness?
No questions.
I move this court.
William J. Dafoe was found to be mentally ill, unable to make a rational judgment as to his illness and his need for hospitalization. He is therefore committed to Milwaukee County Mental Health Center North. Next.
If you are pleading insanity as a defense against prosecution for a crime, you can be assured of a very thorough examination as to your mental condition. If you are applying for mandatory compensation on the grounds that mental illness has been inflicted on you, let us say as a war veteran, you can be assured of a very thorough examination as to your mental condition. But if you are an ordinary citizen and someone else has filed a petition asking for your commitment to a mental hospital as a mentally ill person, you will be lucky to have a 15-minute interview with 2 general medical practitioners in the service of a court-appointed attorney.
Doctor, what is your profession?
Physician and surgeon.
How long have you practiced your profession in this community?
49 years. This is my 50th year.
You've been a member of the probate court's panel of physicians on a case-by-case basis to examine persons allegedly mentally ill, deficient, or infirm, have you not?
Yes.
How long have you been on this panel?
That's hard to say. Probably 20 or 30 years.
In the course of this period, you have examined and given evidence with respect to many persons allegedly mentally ill, deficient, or infirm.
Yes.
In the course of your practice, have you also encountered persons thusly affected?
I would say that my practice at the present time consists of anywhere from 10 to 15% psychiatric problems.
Doctor, have you had any professional relationship with persons you will testify concerning today?
No.
Or social relationship?
No.
Doctor, as I understand it, you are not certified as a specialist in psychiatry, is that correct?
I have said that at least 100 times.
You are not board certified or board eligible.
Yes, sir.
Your practice is generally general practice, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
All right. The court is satisfied that this physician qualifies as an expert in the field of psychiatry and may give opinion evidence. Counsel for the county.
Doctor Who, when did you examine Eric Schneider?
I examined Eric Schneider on October 16, 1974 at Milwaukee County Mental Health Center where he was detained pursuant to this hearing.
Your diagnosis?
Schizophrenic, chronic paranoid type.
Does this make him a fit subject for hospitalization?
Very much so.
What kind?
Structured, supervised setting of this kind.
Comment concerning alternatives?
No other alternatives.
Dangerousness?
To himself.
Insight, ability to rationalize his need to be treated?
He has no insight. His judgment and reasoning are completely impaired.
Opinions given by you, are they beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
Your witness.
No questions.
Commitment recommended.
Attorney for the patient,
Nothing further.
would you like to say anything? You have the right to remain silent.
Lots of things I've been saying all around that the whole world ought to know about.
Eric Schneider is found to be mentally ill and unable to make a rational judgment as to his illness or need for treatment or hospitalization. In this connection, he is found to be a danger to himself. He is committed to 5142 board.
What is mentally ill?
All right, that's all. Who's next?
Obviously, the definition of mental illness is left largely to the user and is dependent upon the norms of adjustment that he employs. Usually the use of the phrase mental illness effectively masks the actual norms being applied, and because of the unavoidably ambiguous generalities in which the American Psychiatric Association describes its diagnostic categories, the diagnostician has the ability to shoehorn into the mentally diseased class almost any person he wishes, for whatever reason, to put there. This hearing was held in August 1974.
I should like to ask counsel for the patient if he's willing to stipulate to the psychiatric qualifications of these expert witnesses, or should I prove them up?
I will stipulate.
Doctor, when and where did you examine Arleen Kalenich?
I examined her on August 10th, 1974, Milwaukee County Mental Health Center North.
Your diagnosis?
Schizophrenic, chronic paranoid type.
Do you believe her to be a fit subject for treatment?
I would consider the patient to be a fit subject for inpatient hospitalization.
Are you ruling out alternatives?
Yes.
Comment concerning her insight into her need to be treated.
She lacks insight. Her judgment is defective.
Dangerousness to herself or others?
I would consider her dangerous to herself and others by virtue of the behavior she exhibited prior to her admission.
Opinions given by you, are they beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
Your witness.
During your interview, did she give you any answers to your questions which further buttressed your opinion of schizophrenia?
She refused the interview.
She didn't speak with you at all?
That's correct.
Well, your diagnosis is based on the history that you found in the chart?
Yes.
Well, did I understand? It's difficult to determine her insight.
Not from the history.
Oh. Well, your whole diagnosis is based on the history. No further questions.
Doctor, never heard of? When and where did you examine Arleen Kalenich?
I examined Arleen Kalenich on the 10th of August at North Division.
Your diagnosis?
Schizophrenic, chronic paranoid type.
Do you consider her a fit subject for treatment?
Yes.
Where?
At North Division.
Are you ruling out alternatives?
Yes.
Comment concerning her insight, ability to rationalize her need for treatment?
She hasn't any insight. Her judgment and reasoning are impaired.
Dangerous?
She refuses treatment.
Dangerous?
Yes, she is dangerous to herself because of the fact that she started a fire in her home, cut the wires, and burned the bank books in the house.
Opinions given by you, are they beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
Your witness.
Wisconsin defines mental illness as mental disease to such extent that a person so afflicted requires care and treatment for his own welfare or the welfare of others or of the community. In 1972, the U.S. Supreme Court noted that implicit in this definition is the requirement that a person's potential for doing harm to himself or to others is great enough to justify such a massive curtailment of liberty. This implies a balancing test in which the state must bear the burden of proving that there is an extreme likelihood that if the person is not confined, he will do immediate harm to himself or others.
Doctor, are any of your opinions based upon an interview with the patient?
Yes.
So, unlike the other doctor, you were able to talk to her.
Yes.
Did she recount to you the incident of having to be removed from the roof of her house by the police department of Glendale?
Yes, in a rather sketchy manner, avoiding as much as possible. She was ardent in her answers.
Did she go into the incident regarding the purchase of a piano for the home
Yes.
versus college education?
Yes, she had $2,000, and her parents used the money to buy her a piano rather than using it for her college education.
Well, now, her explanation of those incidents and what other answers she gave you, do you base your opinion of paranoid schizophrenia?
Well, the interview being rather bizarre thinking, loose associations.
Give us an example of bizarre thinking or loose associations.
She was displeased with her parents. She had $2,000 and felt that was a great deal of money, thought it was enough to give her a college education. When I pointed out that $2,000 probably wouldn't get her through a year of it, she said, "Well, we will find a way."
Well, now, doctor, you were able to talk to her. What is your impression of her insight into her condition?
I think it is nil.
Did she mention during the interview that she felt she needed hospitalization or treatment for any mental or emotional condition?
She felt she did not need treatment.
You believe that inpatient treatment would be the only way to treat her at this time?
Yes.
I have no further questions. Would you state your name, please?
Arleen Kalenich.
How old are you?
I'm 23 years old.
Have you been gainfully employed since graduating from high school?
Yes, mostly waitressing.
Tell me a few of the places.
Mark's Big Boy, Frenchie's.
That's fine. Now, the incidents which led up to your being brought to the hospital, am I correct in assuming it had to do with the purchase of a piano from funds which you believed were yours, as opposed to using those funds to put you through college?
Yes.
Was that the substance of what triggered this incident?
Yes.
Was there anything else about this incident that should be brought out?
That I wish to further my education. I have to get the majority of it from grants. My parents made the stipulation that they would help me all through college, but I had to live at home to get any help from them.
Have you ever been hospitalized in Milwaukee Mental Health Division before?
No.
Have you ever been hospitalized for any mental or emotional condition?
No.
Well, now, the doctors related something about burning bank books. Is that true and correct?
Yes, I burnt their bank books.
Whose bank books did you burn?
My parents. My brother's was not... I did not burn my brother's, and mine was not there.
Why did you burn your parents' bank books?
It was a symbol. They would not listen to my words, so I thought they might listen to my actions.
What words would your parents not listen to?
That I wished to govern my own life. That I wished to go where I pleased without being traced every time I left the house.
Well, why didn't you remove yourself from the house and establish yourself in separate living arrangements?
I may have been employed, but that doesn't mean I was making enough money to make it.
Were you removed from the roof of your parents' house by the police department of Glendale?
I was removed by men wearing gray outfits.
Why did you go up on the roof?
To get away from the noise and to be able to watch what was going on.
Now, you've heard both doctors testify. You have heard their testimony. They believe that you are mentally ill.
Yes, I heard it.
What statements have either doctor made that you feel were not substantiated or that you take issue with?
I take offense at the interpretation of my starting a fire in the house. It's about an equivalent of lighting a cigarette.
Was that the incident about burning the bank books?
Yes.
Is that the only fire you ever lit in the house?
Well, there's a fireplace.
Well, what other statement did either doctor make that you weren't satisfied with?
I'm not sure.
I have no further questions.
I rest, Your Honor. Move 5142 commitment.
Your Honor, may I ask one question each of the doctors to find out whether the questions and answers have in any way buttressed or changed their opinions?
Yes, just a minute, though. You said you went up on the roof to see what was going on. What were you referring to?
I locked the house and left one window open. My mother was going to the police station, and that station is about a 5-minute walking distance from the house. I went up to see what would happen.
What did you do? You locked your parents out of the house?
No, I locked her out.
And you knew she was going to the police in order to get into the house?
No, first she decided to go for the police, then I decided
You told your mother you would lock the house?
She had already left. She called on the phone and walked out of the door.
You locked her out after she went for the police?
Yes,
Why did she go to get the police?
it was a family argument.
All right.
Doctor, you have now had the benefit of hearing some answers to some basic questions. Could you give us your opinion regarding her mental health at this time, whether or not she is able to make a rational decision and is dangerous?
Her answers are not correct. There is much distortion. She has had previous psychiatric hospitalization. She has a history of drug abuse.
Well, now, can you tell us where she's been hospitalized and how often?
I can't really. It's on the charts. She wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't talk to me because she wanted an observer or attorney present.
Oh, now you say she has a history of drug abuse. How did you come by this information?
From the charts.
Or did the chart indicate who was putting that information into the chart?
I can't say. I have to have the chart.
Apart from that, did her answers impress you? She did have command of herself to some extent?
No.
You believe that she is mentally ill, suffering from paranoid schizophrenia beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
You further believe that she is dangerous to herself?
Yes.
You further believe that she is dangerous to others?
Yes.
You do not feel that she has any insight into her condition which would allow her to become a voluntary patient for treatment of her condition?
That is correct.
You believe that she is a fit subject for inpatient hospitalization on a full-time basis at this time?
Yes.
Well, I have no further questions of this doctor. Doctor, would you concur in what your colleague has said?
Definitely would.
There seems to be some disagreement as to this previous question of hospitalization. Mr. Kalenich, you are her father. You've been previously sworn. Has your daughter ever been hospitalized because of mental condition or drug abuse?
Well, she saw a doctor when she started high school for a physical, but there wasn't any hospitalization involved. I don't know anything about any drug abuse.
Well, I don't recall that there was. I don't recall whether that was a previous record of hers or not.
Well, I suppose it gets down to the truth of that report.
That's right.
Her father has said no.
If the court please, I do respect both doctors' opinions, but I'm a little bit concerned. I just wonder if we're not dealing with a family emotional type situation, and it's a little difficult for me to understand how full-time inpatient hospitalization at this time would be the cure. I think there may be some type of friction here. That's my opinion, Your Honor.
I have some of the same feeling. However, I'm not an expert in psychiatric matters. The experts have testified. My feelings are the same as yours, but I can't disregard the expert testimony. Mr. Kalenich, you want to say something?
Well, she needs help. I can't handle her, but she won't do it herself. I don't know anything about any previous hospitalization, but she does need help, and she won't accept it.
Doctor, you have heard the attorney for the patient and his statements. I have somewhat the same feelings that perhaps it's a question of friction within the family. I'd like to hear you on that.
It says here the patient admits to past psychiatric hospitalization.
I don't care about that. I want to hear your comment on the attorney's feelings in this matter. I have some of the same feelings. You have stated she is ill. Now, is it just something beyond a matter of friction within the family or in the home?
I think she has a psychotic disorder.
And she has to be hospitalized for that?
That's correct.
And no question in your mind about it?
That's correct.
And you, doctor, you have the same feeling?
Yes, sir.
Anything further?
Nothing, unless her father wants to make a statement.
Well, I agree with the doctors, but I don't know where they got that hospitalization from.
Arleen Kalenich, do you want to say anything?
I have some questions I'd like to ask.
Of whom?
Of anyone who wants to listen.
What question?
I'd like to know why I'm considered insane, just because I'd like to try to take care of myself. I won't accept a legal support.
What do you mean by that?
I've been offered several chances to become a prostitute.
What else?
That I wish to further my education. That I wish to grow in my own way and not live in my parents' image of the past.
Anything else?
What else can you ask?
After you got out of high school in 1969, did you pursue any further schooling?
Yes. I found I did not have enough credits to get into college, so I went to MATC. I did very poorly, but I got my credits in geometry.
And when did you get the credits?
I think I went back to night school about a year after I got out of high school.
You went back to night school?
Yes.
When did you get the credits?
Well, I keep time by events, not dates.
All right. What event can you tell me that you got the credits?
I had moved out of my parents' house, and I was living with my boyfriend and his parents. I was working. I was going to night school. I completed that, and after a while, I moved back into my parents' home.
Then you can't tell me how many years ago it was you got the credits?
Well, it took, I think it took me a year to do the course. It wasn't every night, and I was out of high school for about a year before I went to MATC.
It took you about a year?
Yes.
Would it be fair to say that you got the credits in about 1971?
Approximately. It's on the transcripts. If you'd like a transcript...
I'm asking you. You should know. You are the one who got the credits.
Well, nobody took my place in the classroom.
Arleen Kalenich is found to be mentally ill and unable to make a rational decision as to her need for hospitalization or treatment. She is further found to be dangerous to herself. She's committed to a 5142 board.
In Lessard versus Schmidt, 1972, the United States Supreme Court defined the following standards for civil commitment. Civil commitment cannot be justified upon mere preponderance of the evidence. Civil commitment can be justified in some cases if the proper burden of proof is satisfied and dangerousness is based upon the finding of a recent overt act, attempt, or threat to do substantial harm to oneself or another. And further, that the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt all facts necessary to show that an individual is mentally ill and dangerous. The Supreme Court decision also says, a court should order full-time involuntary hospitalization only as a last resort, that it must be viewed in the light of less drastic means for achieving the same basic purpose, and that the person recommending full-time involuntary hospitalization must bear the burden of proving, 1, what alternatives are available, 2, what alternatives were investigated, and 3, why the investigated alternatives were not deemed suitable. These alternatives include voluntary or court-ordered outpatient treatment, day treatment in a hospital, night treatment in a hospital, placement in the custody of a friend or relative, placement in a nursing home, referral to a community mental health clinic, and home health aid services. The court also noted that there is substantial evidence that any lengthy hospitalization, especially where it is involuntary, may greatly increase the symptoms of mental illness and make adjustment to society more difficult.
In the matter of the legal inquiry into the mental condition of John Kischline. Doctor, when did you examine John Kischline?
October 17th, 1974.
Your diagnosis?
Schizophrenic,
chronic paranoid type. Treatment?
Inpatient psychiatric hospitalization.
Alternatives?
None.
Comment concerning insight, ability to rationalize his need to be treated?
He lacks insight. His judgment is impaired.
Do you have indications of acts of dangerousness to himself or others?
There was a note written in the hand of John Kischline that was written on a paper towel. On a paper towel, he signed the note. This is a product of his mind. I would consider this to be evidence of rather loose and psychotic thinking. It showed many loose associations, loose associational thoughts.
Opinions given by you, are they beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, of course. It's primarily from the record.
Your witness.
No questions.
Doctor? Date of exam?
October 13th.
Diagnosis?
Schizophrenic, chronic, paranoid type.
Treatment?
Structured supervised setting of this kind?
Alternatives?
None.
Insight, ability to rationalize need for treatment?
No insight. His judgment and reasoning are impaired.
Dangerous?
Primarily to himself.
Opinions given by you, are they beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes.
Your witness.
Doctor, Upon what do you base your opinion of dangerousness to himself?
Well, he's not able to take care of himself because of his inability to take care of himself. He is up at night. Mm-hmm. He is writing 2 books. Mm-hmm. He is sleeping during the day. Mm-hmm. He is arguing with his brothers and parents. Mm-hmm. He talks about reincarnation. Mm-hmm. He does not work. Mm-hmm. I think that is enough to indicate that he is unable to take care of himself.
No further questions.
I move this court for a 5142 commitment, Your Honor.
Attorney for the patient.
Your Honor, there are no witnesses on behalf of John Kischline except for any statement he might wish to make himself. Thus far, he has been adamant about his right to remain silent.
You have the right to remain silent. You also have the right to speak. Do you wish to speak?
Yeah, perhaps.
You want to say anything?
I am the almighty bullshitter.
Anything further?
No.
John Kischline is found to be mentally ill.
Da, 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 da.
Next.
September 1973, a hearing on the mental condition of John Schneider, brought by his parents and brother.
Attorney for the patient, I'd like to ask the young man some questions.
I have no objections, Your Honor.
Now, Mr. Schneider, you have no duty to answer my questions, and you may remain silent if you wish, with no prejudice to your rights. However, if you do answer my questions, then I can use your responses in arriving at a decision in your case. Do you understand that?
Yes, I do.
What is your name?
John Schneider,
How old are you?
24.
Who do you reside with?
My parents, my brother, and my sister.
If you were to travel 200 miles straight away east from where we are right now, what state would you be in?
Michigan.
This is the year 1973. What year was it 4 years ago?
1969.
Have you ever heard the proverb, a bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush?
Yes, I've heard it.
What does that mean to you?
I wish to remain silent.
Dr. Who, you've examined the patient. What did you find?
Schizophrenic, chronic paranoid type, fit subject for hospitalization, no insight into his illness, unable to make a rational decision as to his need for hospitalization or treatment, no feasible alternatives beyond a reasonable doubt.
Do you wish to make a statement?
Yes. I think we agreed that I did not say that I would not wish to voluntarily commit myself, but I want the attorney that I wanted to represent me present before I sign any papers to that effect. That I did say.
That was his communication to me, Your Honor.
Doctor, is his illness so severe that it prevents him from understanding the meaning of a voluntary commitment?
I think he would understand the meaning, but he wouldn't sign one unless he was backed against the wall.
You don't think he'd be motivated by a desire for treatment?
I think he would be motivated by a desire not to be committed.
Counsel?
Would you consider the voluntary signature an alternative to hospitalization?
I would consider a voluntary hospitalization an alternative to an involuntary hospitalization, yes.
That's all.
Now, doctor, what factors did you observe to lead you to your diagnosis?
Well, John Schneider was extremely rigid. He tended to intellectualize. His effect was flat. He made paranoid statements.
If John Schneider were presented with a voluntary application to this hospital, you indicate he would understand it.
Yes.
So he does have some cognizance, some thought process at this time, is that correct?
Yes.
Doctor never heard of. Would you agree that John Schneider has the intellectual capacity to understand the nature of a voluntary application?
I don't disagree.
That's all.
Any further evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. I should like to ask the father some questions. Sir, are you related to the patient?
I'm his father.
You heard the counsel propose the possibility of him signing his own voluntary commitment?
Yes.
You realize, sir, that if he was able to do this, he would be able to give the institution notice and be out in a couple of hours, which would spring him out on the streets. Do you realize that, sir?
Yes, I do.
That is objected to.
Sustained.
That's the truth.
The court will decide whether that is an alternative.
That is our understanding. Now, we don't want to legally commit him unless he's definitely going to cause a problem. We'd rather see him commit himself.
That's all.
Now, sir, you may step down. The evidence is concluded. There are no further statements. Do you wish to make any further statements before we announce a decision in your case?
Yes. I feel I wasn't properly allowed to defend myself, and I want to get another counsel.
Well, that request is denied. We are now at the end of the case.
Well...
Next statement.
I'm thinking of the future.
The court is satisfied that John Schneider is mentally ill. I am satisfied that he's a fit subject for hospitalization. He does at the present time have the capacity to sign the voluntary. Therefore, there is a feasible alternative upon his signing the voluntary. I will dismiss these proceedings in lieu of him signing the voluntary.
John, I have the voluntary here. Will you sign it?
Yes, I know. I will sign the voluntary. But I want the attorney that I wanted to represent me present before I sign it. I think that's my legal right.
Your Honor, I would like to state for the record that John Schneider asked me to call his attorney for him Monday of this week. I communicated with the attorney of Mr. Schneider's choice. He indicated he would send an associate. However, it is my understanding that I am the only attorney present to represent Mr. Schneider.
All right, there should be a different decision. This young man, by his conduct right now, indicates that he does not understand what the voluntary is about. I will therefore vacate the previous order and direct commitment to Milwaukee County Mental Health Center, North Division. His last-minute request indicates his utter lack of insight into these proceedings and into his own condition. There is the illness and there is no feasible alternative. This gentleman is utterly incapable of having any insight into his need for hospitalization. I will make no findings as to dangerousness. I don't think that's been established as that term is defined by the law. That's all.
The state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt all facts necessary to show that the individual is mentally ill and dangerous. We repeat, dangerous.
And dangerousness must be based upon the finding of a recent overt act, attempt, or threat to do substantial harm to oneself or another, even if standards for adjudication of mental illness and potential dangerousness are satisfied beyond a reasonable doubt. The court should order full-time involuntary hospitalization only as a last resort. We repeat, as a last resort. Persons who are not alleged to have committed any crime cannot be totally deprived of their liberty if there are less drastic means available. These scenes were taken from actual Milwaukee County Court transcripts. There are villains.
From a final hearing in Milwaukee County on May 29th, 1973.
This is in the matter of the legal inquiry into the mental condition of Flora Coker.
Your name is Flora Coker?
Just like on the cards in the index file in your computer system.
You are Flora Coker?
Floracoker. Yes.
Doctor Who, did you examine the patient?
Yes, I examined Flora Coker on May 25th, 1973.
Did you reach an opinion beyond a reasonable doubt that Flora Coker is mentally ill?
Yes, Flora Coker is mentally ill. She is suffering from schizophrenia, acute chronic paranoid type.
Is she dangerous to herself and others?
Yes, she has 2 small children.
I have 3.
3 small children.
4.
Again, did you reach an opinion beyond a reasonable doubt that Flora Coker is dangerous to herself and others?
Yes, I do.
You heard her remarks given to counsel's questions.
Yes?
They were appropriate. They prove she is oriented today. Is that correct?
No, the first remark about the computer cards or something, the first remark was most inappropriate.
I didn't hear a remark about computers.
When she said her name, she made a remark about computers.
I didn't hear it either. She said her name.
Right before she spelled it out, she made the remark.
She said she got it on the card or something.
It's in the index of the computer system or
No,
something
well,
like
all
that.
she was trying to say
It
is...
was inappropriate.
Do you care to make a statement?
No. I think it's already been decided.
One final thought noted in the Lessard decision. If a sociologist predicted that a person was 80% likely to commit a felonious act, no law would permit his confinement. But under the same circumstances, a psychiatrist's recommendation of commitment is likely to be accepted. Justification is sought on the basis of the potential benefit to the one confined in a mental institution. As Justice Brandeis noted in an often quoted statement, experience should teach us to be most on our guard to protect liberty when the government's purposes are beneficent. The greatest dangers to liberty lurk in insidious encroachment by men of zeal, well-meaning, but without understanding.